Hello and welcome to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 2, brought to you by the Ashland University Journalism and Digital Media Department. I'm Cade Krakis, and I'm joined by Doug Geiser, the head coach of the Ashland University football team. Coach, thanks so much for sitting down with me here today.
I appreciate you having me back.
Of course. It's always great to get you on the show. So this past weekend, the team competed against the Northwood Timberwolves, taking them down 9-7. After that game came to a close, initially, what were your thoughts?
My initial thoughts was Northwood's a very much improved football team. You can tell Dustin's done a tremendous job in the offseason. They put a lot of time in training. They're a different team physically than they were last year, making a lot of progress, and they're a team to watch for the next coming years.
And Coach, this game saw just 16 total points being scored between the two sides, which is not something that you really normally expect between these two teams. Did you expect it to be that big of a defensively minded game?
Yeah, because I know our defense, and I also know that they were very highly ranked in the conference as well defensively. Second only to us in rushing defense, and they've been salty giving up points the whole year. So I expected a dogfight, and they didn't disappoint.
And with not many stats really jumping off the sheet, who are game ball winners and standouts that you saw?
Game ball winner, the game ball is Jeff Barnett, who's going to be on the show later today. And Isaiah Clark was a defensive player of the game, one of the signature plays all year. He turned in, and it was really helped change the game. The offensive player of the game was Jamari Kroom. The touchdown pass, obviously, early on, and a couple key receptions, kind of converting on third downs and getting first downs was big. Jaden Cook was the special teams player of the week. Tremendous job as a punter, helping flip the field, especially in the second half. That was a big key in the game to really force their offense to go the length of the field on a couple different occasions. Scout Offensive Player of the Week was Evan Coyle, quarterback from Madison Plains. Did a great job giving our defense a look throughout the week. The Scout Defensive Player of the Week was Darius Atley, defensive end from Elyria. And the Scout Special Teams Player was Jericho Etok.
Okay, when you take a look at this past weekend as well, it was also defensively the third time this season you guys have held opponents under 10 points. How impressive have you been with their effort this season and defensive coordinator Tim Rose's schematics?
Tim is one of the best, and you got to think so after about 61 years. It's his 61st year in coaching, and he's coached at all different levels with a great amount of success. It's a very hard scheme to attack, and trust me on that, for being the longtime offensive line coach and have to see that look in practice every day. It caused my hair to go so gray I had to shave it to a flat top, okay? And defensively, the kids love playing for him. They get great energy and fly to the ball, great pursuit, and so it's a neat thing watching that side of the ball come together like that.
And offensively this past week, you guys went back to some unconventional play types. You gave the ball to Tony Panozzi on a reverse jet sweep that went for 32 yards, so a big-time pickup. How often do you practice these irregular type plays?
Believe it or not, before we actually probably run those plays in the game, they've probably been in practice for 2 or 3 weeks. And we're always looking ahead. What can we do off of our base stuff that will play with the defender's eyes? That's probably the biggest way to describe that. And we like to engage in series football and be able to hit some explosives with some non-traditional stuff.
And at the halftime break of this past week, you guys were trailing by just a singular point. Your mindset at that halftime break, what was it, and what did you say to the team to get them motivated for the second half?
Well, we expected them to fight us hard, and they were a team, no matter who they played all year, they're going to fight through the last whistle, the last play of the game. So we knew going in, we expected a fight like that from Northwood. They had shown that the whole year. We didn't expect anything less. So we've been in games like that throughout the year. The guys did a great job, didn't lose their poise, they didn't panic. It's like, hey, we just got to keep playing. The game is not 30 minutes, it's 60 minutes. And at the end, the key thing at that point is us being ahead at the end.
And what response are you expecting from your team come this weekend?
I expect them to embrace the next challenge. We're on from Northwood on to Lake Erie, and Lake Erie is a team that has played us very tough the last number of years. It's been, in a lot of respects, only a one-score game. And so we expect a tight game. We're going to see their best. They're going to be playing at home. They play different at home like most teams do. And so it's going to be another unique challenge for us this week.
And also, you got 6 games in a row now on that winning streak. How important is it to keep that alive, and how are you going to keep that alive this weekend?
The biggest part of that is being able to control your own destiny. Last year, we got in a situation where we lost early in the conference, the second game to Tiffin. And at that point, they remained undefeated. And up to a certain point, Finley was as well. So we did not control our own destiny as far as what would happen in the postseason. Now we're still in control of that destiny. We just got to keep taking care of business and continue to be 1-0 every week.
Well, Coach, it was great to sit down with you here in this opening segment. When we get back together at the end of today's show, we'll talk about this upcoming game against Lake Erie a little bit more.
I look forward to it.
It is now time for us to take a quick break and join you all back here shortly. Stay tuned through this commercial break. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show right here on AUTV. welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show. I'm currently joined by standout defensive lineman Jeffrey Barnett and Coach Geiser. Jeff, I appreciate you hopping on the show with me here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So when you take a look this past weekend against Northwood, you guys shut them out on the defensive side of things. What really led to that success?
Well, our coaching staff really emphasized that this was going to be a trap game. And by that, I mean this team they're below our skill level, but anybody can beat you on any given day. So if we underestimate them, they're going to come to our house and they're going to beat us on our field. And we just had to maintain the kind of preparation that we had every week up until this point, and we got the job done.
And when you take a look at the game before that, you guys took on Thomas More, and in that one you guys held him to just 3 points. So when you look at just in general how your team has found so much success, what has really been the reason for it?
Well, we have good to great players on every single position in our defense. So it's amazing players on my team making amazing plays every week, and we prepare. We watch film before the games. We take everybody seriously, and we're ready to play every time.
And Coach Geiser as well, you've seen that defense play really good as of recent. You think Jeff's been a big part of that?
Jeff has been a tremendous part of that. He actually encountered some adversity last year. Some health reasons, had to sit out the season. And so I knew it would take a little bit to knock the rust off this season, but right about mid-season, he's really knocked it off, and he's been playing tremendously, kind of a rebirth of the all-conference player he was in 2022.
And Jeff, building off of that a little bit, off the field, what has your work been like to kind of get to this point in your career?
Well, I've actually been relying a lot on my teammates. Even guys that don't necessarily play the same position, like interior D linemen. I talk to my counterpart, Mike Shimmick, a lot, just trying to get advice from as many people as I can. I'm going on the internet trying to find as many defensive line resources as I can, because I used to play running back when I first got here. So running back to defensive line, I've never played defensive line before, so it was quite the transition period. So the more information, the more tips, tidbits, whatever I can get from other people, the better. So that's been my main focus, just getting as much information as possible.
Yeah, and Coach Geiser, how have you seen him kind of see that adversity head on and kind of get to this point as well?
It's been neat, and it's when we come to Ashland, you talk about playing football. It's more than just about football. It's about life and about learning those skills that are going to take you once you graduate here. And so encountering adversity is part of that. And to see the way Jeff has, attacked it the same way he attacks it on the field, and come out on the other end, and just performing at a tremendous level. It's been really heartwarming for me to see. And obviously our team loves it too, because he's a tremendous, tremendous football player.
And obviously too, Jeff, this wouldn't all be without some great coaching and mentorship here from AU. Is there anyone throughout your time here that stood out in that realm?
That's hard to say. All the coaches have helped me so much. Coach Geiser, I remember in 2022 when we lost against IUP, he pulled me aside and told me, he said, "Hey, look, this is your senior season. You got to prepare like you've never prepared before, and really show out and really just play to the best of your abilities."
Yeah.
And it's up to you to do that. My position coach, Andy Tabler, we have a lot of in-depth conversations about what the plan is for each week, how to attack each opponent, each individual offensive lineman, all across the board, from guards to tackles to centers and the tight ends. Coach Rose, he gets me excited. He's a really intense guy, and he gets me ready to run through a wall before each game. So
yeah, and you mentioned it earlier a little bit too, speaking on that topic of mentorship and whatnot. You said that some of your teammates like Mike Shimmick and when those were involved on the chemistry side of things. That defensive lineman group, were there any others that stood out in the locker room for all you guys to keep your guys' heads level at every given moment?
Well, yeah, the seniors in the interior defensive line, I'm really close with them. Christian Garris, Colin Strong, Mason Graney, they're all really, really cool guys, and they're all really good football players. So I can bounce ideas off of them mid-game, and it's just real good chemistry that we have.
Yeah, and being on the defense, you have to trust a lot of different players at any given moment. Obviously, you're on that defensive line, but you got to trust the linebackers and the safeties and the corners to all do their job at the same time. Outside of the group that you're primarily working with, who else has stood out to you this year?
I mean, they're all dogs. I love them. Sam, our backup linebacker that came in for Jack Talkington, he's been playing out of his mind. He's stepped up a lot. Obviously, you look at the leadership that we have in like Prude, Devin Prude, our corner. He's an outstanding player. We have great players at every single position. I just love playing with them.
Yeah, and moving forward, how can you guys find success this coming weekend against Lake Erie?
Keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly. And Coach, you got anything more to say on that aspect?
Hey, as we talk about, you know me, you know my answer. You're probably giving my answer already, okay? You trust the process. You put the preparation in. It's a dangerous football team, and you got to go beat them on their on their field. Our recent history with them has been close games the last 3 years, and so you cannot take this team lightly.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you sitting down with me here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Of course. When we return back from this next commercial break, we'll be joined by graduate assistants Garrett Turnbaugh and Trent Maddox. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show right here on AUTV. Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show. I'm currently joined by graduate assistants Garrett Turnbaugh and Trent Maddox. I appreciate you both coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. First and foremost, to jump straight into things, how have you two kept yourselves intertwined with AU even after your playing days have come to a close?
I think it's easy to stay at a place like Ashland with the culture of the football team and desiring really to be a part of this staff as a player and then ultimately as a coach. So just really thankful to be a part of this staff still, especially with the culture that Coach Geiser and Coach Owens really have created.
Yeah, just building off of that, just the relationships we were able to build while playing here and spending some time away, it was a no-brainer getting back here.
And obviously, too, that relationship with the game, obviously going from a player to being a coach, what has that sort of transition been like for you guys in terms of helping guide players along?
It's been easy. Really, in my time, I got to be kind of a player coach, so that was a blessing for sure for me.
Yeah, I was real grateful to obviously be a part of the team playing, and I know what it takes to have some success here, being a part of it, being around it. So I think just trying to take what I learned there and to deliver it to some of the guys on the team.
And Trent, you obviously had a chance to come back and play for another year if you'd like to. What made you decide to kind of jump on that coaching staff?
Yeah, Coach Geiser and I really kind of had a lot of conversations, a lot of prayer, a lot of seeking wisdom from people like Coach Geiser and some mentors in my life. And ultimately, I think my role was more, like I mentioned, as a player coach there, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to stay on the staff. So just a lot of conversations with Coach Geiser, a lot of seeking the Lord, and a lot of prayer in that.
And Garrett, to you as well, you took obviously a break from being here at Ashland, went to Ohio Dominican for your return. What was that decision like to come back to AU?
It was a no-brainer. I was obviously blessed to get the phone call and run into Coach Geiser here and there in December. And when he told me we could get the show on the road and kind of get me back up here with a leave, it was a no-brainer on making that decision and coming back here to home. Yeah,
and both of you two played together in 2021. You caught a couple of passes from Trent and so on and so forth, and that season had a lot of adversity to it as well. So how have you guys been able to see that adversity and then see if players are going through it as well to then help guide them along?
Yeah, I think those types of seasons are always a blessing, right? You get to learn from challenges like that season. I think ultimately it makes us better competitors, better teammates, and ultimately, too, better coaches, right? When you're a coach, you're never going to have a perfect season every season. So learning how to experience those things as a player was probably a blessing for us.
And Garrett, same thing for you as well?
Absolutely. It's a great year. Learn from it.
Of course. And now moving forward, how do you two hope to continue your coaching careers?
Yeah, I think just continue to be a student of the game, learn from the people that have gone before me, and just take every opportunity that's given to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very blessed in the room I am, working on the defense side of the ball with Coach Rose and Coach Sockerman. Been doing it for plenty of years, and something I want to do with my life and my career. So just continue to learn and continue to improve.
Well, appreciate you guys so much. Thanks so much for sitting down with me here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
When we return back from this next commercial break, we'll wrap up the show with Coach Geiser. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show right here on AUTV. Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, right here on AUTV. Coach, it's time for our final segment of today's show. Before we get into the upcoming schedule, the GMAC standings, and all that, we have to talk about this game upcoming against Lake Erie. What's the preparation going to be like for your team, and what are your expectations?
Normal in-season schedule for us. So, Monday we're game planning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we'll practice, and, meetings to fine-tune things on Friday. But even looking more in depth with it, we're very, very on high alert for this football team. Coach Price has come in. You can definitely tell that they're a team that's going to be on the rise in the GMAC. They're showing increased attention to detail and discipline. The players, you can tell they're being coached the right way. They're doing things the right way. So, they definitely got our attention because we have to go into a hostile territory to try to get a win this Saturday.
Yeah, Coach. And when we take a look at the fans, what should they be expecting in terms of the standouts for both these two sides? Because you said the Storm are uprising for sure.
Yeah, they are. Everything on offense starts with their quarterback. They've always had a great passing game through the years, no matter who was there, and that has not changed this year with Coach Price coming in. I believe a game or so ago that their quarterback passed for over 400 yards. So we expect ball in the air a lot, and they're going to attack us downfield, attack us vertically. Defensively, they play a very frenetic style of defense, a lot of edge pressure. And so we've got to be on high alert to protect our edges, lengthen the edges offensively, both in the run game and also in the pass game.
And this will be the 11th all-time meeting between the two sides. Obviously, you guys won the last 9 of 10. When you take a look at that historic success, what do you think has led to it?
I think a big part of it is they're still a relatively new program, and they have been in existence less than 20 years. Trying to jump right into Division II football without a basis behind it, that's tough. It's a very, very tough level of football, and so there's been some instability, a lot of number of coaches coming through, but I think they made a right hire this time. So that's probably the biggest part of it. And there's been a lot of stability at Ashland. So that's huge. That consistency is huge at this level of play.
And all right, Coach, before we continue on, we got to take a look at this upcoming schedule and see what teams are in the mix down the road. When you take a look at this schedule, we're obviously in the back half of the season now. How do you ensure the guys stay healthy, energized, and locked in each week? We even saw that Jeffrey Barnett had broke his thumb just a couple weeks back.
Yeah, the biggest thing we do, Kate, is we try to restrict practice time a little bit. So you're restricting the hits, you're taking the hits off of them. You might go a helmets day as opposed to an uppers day or a shells day. So, we cut the practice time a little bit. We increase the time in the weight room to help continue to build up our bodies, continue to emphasize with the guys getting your rest, make sure you're getting treatment, make sure you're getting plenty of food as well, just to take care of your body so you're able to perform on Saturdays.
Also, when taking a look at the standings, there are obviously some teams right now that are in the mix to contend for that #1 spot in the GMAC. How are you looking to defend that?
Well, we're really just kind of worried about us. We're worried about Ashland. We're in a position where we can control our own destiny, and we do that by striving to go 1-0 every week. So we know that everybody else is chasing us at this point, but hey, the season is only 2/3 of the way over in the conference, so we got to continue to take care of business.
And how are you going to ensure the guys are ready to go this coming Saturday against Lake Erie and looking to grow that win streak even further along?
Hey, we study them on tape. We talk about it in meetings. We make sure the guys understand the game plan. You go out and perform it in practice, fine-tune it in practice, and then shoot your best shot on Saturday.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining me here today. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
The Eagles now prepare to take on the Lake Erie College Storm on the road at 1 p.m. this coming Saturday, November 2nd. As a reminder, be sure to tune into 88.9 WRDL to hear more from Coach Geiser on the Early Birds Work, Tuesday mornings at 7:30 a.m. for exclusive coverage of AU football. I'm Cade Krakus saying thank you so much for tuning in to the Doug Geiser Show right here on AUTV.